Okay, now I have been waiting to do this video. This took me, I started this at, I don't know, maybe like 10:40 or 10:50, maybe around 11. But I made this great concept art. No, not concept art, but concept card for AGL Freezer to be good. And I made him realistic. If you are into this type of content, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe because man, I had no idea how much effort like these Dokkan tubers be putting in. I had no idea it takes real effort. But look, we not gonna yap too much. This is a third form Frieza concept card. But I'm hoping this is something that they can add for AGL Frieza. And I'm probably going to do this periodically with villains or for units I feel like needs a card to help them. So I'm not even just making this concept card for no reason. Like I'm making this because this is what AGL Frieza needs. This is what Dokkan needs from a villain. This is needed. This is like a needed card. So let's just hop into this. So this is third form Frieza, menace to society. I had to throw in that little spice in there. He's gonna be intelligence, and you see him with the mean look. He about to whip up Piccolo in that scene. His category is Ki +3. Oh, Wicked Bloodlines category Ki +3 and HP attack and defense 200%. His super attack, his 12 key super attack is greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. And his 18 key is greatly raises attack and defense for 3 turns. Now, I didn't want to make this extremely busted because, spoilers, I guess, he's going to end up transforming into Final Form Frieza, this concept card. And, I didn't want to make this, the base kit too strong to where when you transform, it's like you don't do anything. So, you'll see that he's good, though. He's got a great base kit, trust me. But I just wanted to make sure it was realistic as well because I wanted to do something like Dragon Ball Z villains or Z villains instead of Wicked Bloodline. But let's be realistic. I don't really see a Frieza card, leading the entire Z villains. I think it would be something like Kid Buu. Kid Buu would be the perfect Z villains because he's like the end of Z. So I was just like, instead of a new category, but actually, you know what I just realized? Wicked Bloodline already has a 200%. So yeah, let's mid recording, let's go ahead and change that. I mean, Terrifying Conquerors don't have one. Yeah, or is it it's either he leaves Wicked Bloodline for sure. So Terrifying Conquerors. Let's go ahead and change that. I can't spell apparently Terrifying Conquerors. Or I should do Z villain. I know this is a concept, so I'm just going to do Z villains. Because this is really what I wanted. I mean, it's a concept, but realistically, it would be Terrifying Conquerors. Realistically. But if my prayers was heard, oh my God, Z villains would be perfect. But, like I said, 18 key and his 12 key. Now, his passive, Killer Instincts Explode. I just put on a name. It don't have to be perfect. But activate the interest animation only once. Guaranteed additional super. Great chance of critical hit and reduces damage received by 45% for 5 turns from the character's entry turn. I told you, it's got to be realistic. So I put majority of the bulk into his entrance because that's what they do nowadays. Ki +2 attack and defense 170%. Something slight. When attacking, gain an additional 4 key and attack and defense 90%. It doesn't even have to be a super. Mind you, he is an LR. Wicked Bloodline category allies receive 30% attack and defense. 30% attack, 70% defense, and 20% damage reduction, excluding this character when collecting 1 or more orb. So basically, you're always going to get this. This right here, you're always going to get it because you're collecting 1 or more orb. And I decided 20% damage reduction for the base kit because it seems like a lot. 20% seems like a lot. And I feel like at the beginning of the battles, it's specific events they'll need the help, especially the units that the villains have. Like, they don't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I made sure to exclude this character because if this character had this 20% damage reduction as well, he would be cracked. So I make sure to exclude him and just give the allies 20% damage reduction. You'll see why. So In slot 1, before attacking, gain an additional 100% defense and guard. So if you put him in slot 1, you know he gets an additional 100% defense and he's guarding. So I mean, hey, that means that's universal too. It's not before, it's not, like, when certain units be having, like Tech Pan. Tech Pan has the universal, or no, this is even better. You know how Fusion Zamasu can do his AoEs? That's what I really wanted to target, like the AoEs, you know what I'm saying? Just so he won't do too much, you know what I'm saying? So in slot 2 or 3, he has a great chance to dodge. You know what I'm saying? Instead of 100% defense and guard, he has a great chance to dodge. I think he's pretty busted already. I'm not gonna lie. And this is his base kit. Transform when conditions are met. And his active skill is only turn 3. So you only got to use him for 1 turn. But the thing is, with his supers, you could greatly raise his attack and defense. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be for 3 turns. He was supposed to just infinitely raise attack and defense 12 key. He was supposed to just greatly raise attack and defense with his 12 key, and his 18 key was for 3 turns. So you can start off with, you start off with 45% damage reduction. On slot 2 or 3, 70% chance to dodge, 100% defense and guard in slot 1, while, giving allies 20% damage reduction in, stats. Well, Wicked Bloodlines stats. And, he's got a reasonable passive, 170, 90%, 100% defense. And he gets greatly raises attack and raises defense on 12 and 18 keys. So I made him reasonable, not something out of this world. It's a Dokkan concept, but it has to be realistic. So his active skill, you could keep him. You could keep him like this for 5 turns, but you just got to make sure once that intro wears off, you can active skill him on turn 3. You could do it the very next rotation. Now, the pinnacle of my power final form, FRIEZA. His 12 key super attack greatly raises attack and greatly raises defense for 3 turns. And his 18 key massively raises attack and defense for 1 turn. And all villain allies get 13% damage reduction for 2 turns. So on his team, if you have 2 FRIEZAs, each rotation, or even if you happen to get them on the same rotation, that's 40% damage reduction to that unit in the 3rd slot. You know what I'm saying? And I decided, you know what? I'm going to lower the damage reduction so he could do it for 2 turns. So instead of 20% on a rotation, if he gets his 18 key, which he is going to get his 18 key for sure, I made sure that you do it universally. All villains allies get 13% damage reduction for 2 turns. Because when he does that, he's basically protecting the rotations. Even though 13% is small, it helps. You know what I'm saying? So, key plus 7 attack and defense 230%. Gain an additional 150% attack and defense when launching a super attack. So, he's already above what he's at like 370. He's almost at 400, stats already. Villain allies gain key plus 2 attack and defense 30%. And terrifying conquerors and wicked bloodlight category allies gain an additional key plus 1 attacking and defense 30%. Remember, villains need a universal unit. So I made sure to give him the universal stuff, which is key plus 2 attacking defense 30% for all villains. And for his family, for his people, his bloodline, basically give them a extra attack and defense 30% and a key. So in slot 1, gain a high chance to dodge and defense 30% for each dodge evaded. Now he just has a baseline 45% damage reduction. Just baseline. You know what I'm saying? Gain an attack and defense 77% when a dodge is performed for 5 turns. So if you put him in slot 1, he has a high chance. This is a slot 1 unit for real. So you get a dodge, you get the extra 77% attack and defense, and that lasts for 5 turns. And guaranteed additional supers if HP is above 30%, and guaranteed additional when he attacks 3 times. So let's say, okay, so perfect example. You put him in slot one, he dodges, he gets the attacking defense, the extra. This because this is really extra. I wanted to give him a little bit of extra stats just somewhere. Even though he got 230, starting to turn 150 when launching, and he got the buff right here and the buff right here. But I wanted to give him some more. So let's say you do one super, right? And if you're above 30%, you get a second super, right? And then if you get the hidden potential normal or additional, he procs this. And it's like the Goku I wanted to include that Rose mechanic somewhere in that in his kit. And boy, if you do, man, his defense will be crap. Like this is 100% defense right here. 230, 150 right here. Extra 7. This is multiplicative. This right, he will be broken. So this is why I only gave him 45% damage reduction. I didn't give him guard. I gave him dodge instead of guard. Because if it was guard, oh my, I think he would be more broken if I gave him guard than dodge. That's why I didn't give him guard. Because 45% damage reduction with guard, and he supers, nothing would touch him in the entire game. Like never, nothing. So I wanted to balance him in a way to where he's still broken, he's still cracked. But yeah. So his active skill. This is the part, that everyone in a mom's want. You know what I'm saying? We went through his whole kit, right? And it's decent. It's solid. He's solid. Third form Frieza is a solid base kit unit. Final form Frieza, even though it's not full power, it's his final form. Or it's actually his base form, which is, it's really weird to think about, but he's solid. But this turn right here is what would make Frieza just the ultimate villain unit. If HP is under 77% or Frieza's very next rotation. So let's say you get him turn 3. You get him turn 1, you transform with him turn 3, and then turn 5, you could get this active. You could do it. Or if HP is under 77%, then you could do it immediately when you transform with Frieza. Increase your own energy by 24%. By 24 key. And defense 130% for one turn. Concentrate the enemy's attack on yourself. Guarantee critical hit. And for each attack received, gain an additional 10% damage reduction for this turn only. So I gave him the Beast Gohan. But this is low-key. This is better than Beast Gohan. I made it better than Beast Gohan's. Because villains need it. They need it. They need it now, soon, quick, finito, rapido, like immediate. As soon as possible. ASAP Rocky. They need it. This will solidify him as the #1 villain unit in the game. This right here, he would come out and be the best villain unit in the game. Just right there. This is all he needs for real. A turn protective mechanic. This is what we need. This is exactly what we need, man, for villains. Now, I just stopped there. I didn't want to give him too much. Like, I thought about giving him a revive instead, but I'm like, I think we should save the revive for a different time. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how I would build a revival unit, like for Frieza. Actually, yeah, I do. If I wanted to give him a revive, he did. And the reason why I make him tanky is because he tanked the spirit bomb. You know what I'm saying? Everyone thought he was done, but he came back. It was like he resurrected. So I was gonna make a concept of him reviving, but I didn't know what. I didn't have a perfect condition. I was trying to think of a revival skill condition that's just easy, unique, because that's team protective as well. If Frieza dies, the whole rotation, if anybody on the rotation dies, Frieza, he could revive and do his thing. But then I'm like, man, would I prefer that, or would I prefer him just protect the whole rotation for one turn and still attack and do damage? So, I ended up going with this type of active skill instead. And yeah, this is my concept card. I don't want to make this video too long, or I don't want to drag it, but let me leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and let me know, would this be, this would be AGL's Frieza's best friend. Like, if this unit came out, all of a sudden, Frieza, nobody would hate on Frieza. Nobody would hate AGL Frieza. That's why I made this card. Because if a card does something similar to this, it don't have to be exact. Everybody would love AGL Frieza. Everybody will all of a sudden love to would love to run villains. This villain card right here, oh my god, would elevate villains so hard. It would elevate villains so hard. So yeah, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know how I did for my first concept card.